The night before our wedding, she was getting wasted at a bar, and I went to pick her up. As I passed the door to her private room, I heard someone congratulate her. "Congrats, Professor Hale. After an 8-year run with Edward, it's about time you two finally made it official." Edward, a name I'd never heard before. "And I'm Leo." Tomorrow was the day Eliza Hale and I were supposed to get married. The invitations had gone out a week ago, and our guests were already checked into the hotel. But Eliza was gone. I didn't think much of it, maybe she was just out with friends. I tried calling her a few times, but the calls went straight to voicemail. I started to worry but kept trying to calm myself down. She'd call me back when she was free. That was the unspoken understanding we had. She hated being disturbed when she was busy and wouldn't answer anyone's phone calls. It was just how she was. While I waited, all I could do was call the wedding planner to confirm the details for the next day. The tux, the schedule, all the little procedures to make sure nothing went wrong. I waited like that until 2 in the morning, when a call from Eliza's phone finally came through. But it wasn't her. It was one of her friends, someone I'd never met. I got the address of the bar from her. It was pretty far. I was too scared to grab a rideshare that late, so I had to work up the courage to drive there myself from the garage. I'd only had my license for less than a month, so I was still a terrible driver. I fumbled my way through the drive, turning a 1-hour trip into 2, but I finally made it. This was the first time in my life I'd ever been to a place like this. Eliza never allowed me to go to bars. I was 18 then, and she was 26. I didn't argue. Eliza was 8 years older than me. I figured she must know what she was talking about. When I got to the door of the private room, I could hear the commotion inside. It was so loud. Because I'd been sick my whole life, I couldn't be in crowded places. I wasn't used to noisy environments, but Eliza seemed to love these kinds of spots. Whenever I called and asked where she was, she'd always tease me in a low voice, "Drinking. What, not even married yet and you're already trying to keep tabs on me?" Back then, her words would make me blush so hard I'd want to hang up immediately. "It's nothing. Just get home early. Don't drink too much." She'd laugh softly. Whatever you say." Eliza's voice always had this captivating, sultry quality. Her voice was special, melodic. It was the most beautiful sound I'd ever heard. Being in a bar for the first time didn't seem as scary as I'd imagined. I felt like I finally had the courage to get closer to Eliza's world. Maybe after we got married, she'd introduce me to her friends, and I'd have time to learn more about her hobbies and interests. So I bundled myself up, took a deep breath, and prepared to push the door open to find her. But then I heard someone congratulating her on her upcoming wedding. "Congrats to Professor Hale for finally leaving the single life behind. After 8 years with Edward, it's about time you two made it official." In that instant, I froze. A sharp, tearing pain shot through my heart, leaving me breathless. That unfamiliar name echoed in my mind. Who was Edward? Before I could process it, laughter erupted from inside the room. "Don't be ridiculous. The great Professor Hale's fiancé isn't Edward. I think he's some young kid named Leo. The professor's got it made." "Huh? Such a young boyfriend. I heard he's a real genius from State U. The kid's got a bright future. I also heard she's really protective of him. Sounds like they're madly in love. I'm so jealous. When will I get a handsome, rich girlfriend?" Hearing my name, I instinctively glanced at the door. Then I heard Eliza's dismissive laugh. "Love? What's love got to do with it? I'm just looking after a kid brother. He wants to get married, so we'll get married." I couldn't bear to hear any more. I just wanted to slip away quietly. But the friend who had called me to come pick Eliza up suddenly texted me. "Almost here? Eliza's completely wasted." Her friend called again, but I didn't have the nerve to answer. Just then, the door to the room swung open from the inside. A tall, striking woman I didn't recognize walked out. I jumped, looking at her and pulling my collar up to hide my face even more. She looked startled when she saw me. I knew I must have looked strange. No one else was bundled up like me. Because of my extreme fear of contact with people, it was the only way I could feel a sliver of security. She noticed the missed call lighting up my phone screen. Understanding dawned on her. You're Eliza's boyfriend, Leo?" I nodded. my voice barely a whisper. Yeah. I'm here to pick her up. The woman smiled and introduced herself. I'm Jenny, Eliza's friend. I'll take you to her. I thanked her. Jenny looked at me hesitantly. But are you afraid to go in? You don't look like you come to these places often. I could just drag her out for you if you want. I shook my head. I can do it. It's fine. Let's go in. I followed Jenny inside, and a dozen curious eyes turned to me. Jenny, who's this? He's gorgeous. Never seen him before. Your boyfriend? Shut up, Jenny snapped impatiently. Can't you people keep your mouths shut even when you're drinking? The group kept staring at me, sizing me up. Well, who is he then? If he's not your boyfriend, is he? If I had a boyfriend like that, I'd be smiling in my sleep. Jenny shot them a glare. He's Eliza's boyfriend. Stop scaring him. Why are you all staring? Jenny's words made my hand tremble. She rubbed the back of her neck awkwardly and looked at me. Eliza's over there. You can go to her. The room was filled with thick smoke that made it hard to breathe. I fought back the discomfort and, through the haze, I gradually made out Eliza sitting in a corner. She was sitting there quietly, as if she'd fallen asleep. When she heard the others teasing, she seemed to just frown and glance in my direction. More than a dozen empty bottles were on the table next to her. She clearly had a lot to drink. I walked over, wanting to help her up. Eliza, stop drinking. Let's go home. The moment I touched her arm, she started to laugh. I had rarely seen Eliza smile like that, completely free of her usual cool, reserved demeanor. Edward, you're here? She asked, her eyes hazy as she looked at me, calling me by the wrong name. In that instant, I understood. So Eliza could smile like that, just not for me. With Jenny's help, I managed to get Eliza into the car. By the time I started the car and drove off, the sky was already starting to lighten. In just a few more hours, it would be our wedding day. The anticipation didn't seem so important anymore. The city lights flickered past, but not a single one was shining for me. If I hadn't found out about Edward, I might have been kept in the dark forever. I never knew that Eliza was hiding someone in her heart. I thought about a lot of things on that drive. It had never crossed my mind that Eliza and I wouldn't get married. I've known Eliza since we were kids. She was 8 years older than me. When I was 6, she was 14. My mother brought her home. Eliza was the orphan daughter of my mother's best friend from the service. My mother couldn't bear to leave her friend's daughter alone, so she took her in. And just like that, we became a family. Back then, the older generation liked to arrange childhood engagements. Eliza and I were destined to get married. She was always mature for her age, serious and steady even as a little girl. She liked to keep her emotions hidden and never showed what she was really feeling. She never told me she liked me. I would always tell her in a soft voice, "Eliza, I really, really like you." She would just reply, "You're just a kid. What do you know about liking someone?" Maybe I didn't know what it meant back then, but I truly saw her as the most important person in my life. She would often sigh and say, "People change. Someday you won't be into my type anymore." But she didn't know. Her life could be full of different people, of infinite possibilities. Mine probably wouldn't be. Because I was sick as a child, I couldn't socialize or talk to strangers. I couldn't do the things I wanted to do, and I didn't dare to love the person I wanted to love. The word love was too heavy. For me, taking that step meant overcoming shyness, low self-esteem, and so much more. I've loved Eliza for so many years. She was too brilliant. I was never confident I could hold on to her. But one time I joked with her, "Eliza, let's get married." I didn't know she was in love with someone else then. I didn't have much hope when I said it. Because our marriage was arranged when we were kids, I had reached the age of 22. She was 30, and our families were starting to pressure her, asking when we were going to make things official. So I tried joking with her, "Let's get married. Then no one will bother you anymore." I never expected her to agree so easily. I was so happy at that moment. I didn't even notice the flicker of self-deprecation on her lips. "So you really want to marry me, huh? Fine, you got it." I thought she was just teasing me, and I didn't think about whether the joke was masking a deeper unwillingness. Thinking back now, she agreed so easily only out of a sense of duty. I just pretended it was love, ignoring the fact that duty isn't love. I had asked her if she liked me, but I forgot to ask her if she loved me. Took all my strength to get Eliza onto the bed. She was so tall, she took up the whole thing. I cleaned her up, covered her with a blanket, and sat by the bed, watching her for a long time. In her sleep, she was still murmuring his name. Edward. It's a name that really makes you jealous. Even their names sounded perfect together. Eliza, maybe we should just not get married. Why would you marry me if you love someone else? You have no idea how cruel you've been. I whispered the words. Tears started to fall against my will. Even though I knew the sleeping Eliza wouldn't answer me, I still wanted to let her go. She had taken care of me for so many years while I was sick. That was enough. The debt she owed our family was long paid. She didn't need to sacrifice her entire life for me. There was resentment, yes, but I couldn't bring myself to hate her. This time I won't blame you. Let's just end it here. Daylight broke, and Eliza finally stirred. The hangover from last night made her pinch the bridge of her nose in pain. Seeing me sitting by the bed, her face showed a moment of confusion. Then, as if remembering something, she propped herself up. Leo, why are you still here? Isn't today our wedding? I remained silent, just watching her, waiting for her to confess, waiting for her to admit she didn't love me, waiting for her to say she didn't want to get married. I needed to learn how to let go. Maybe my stare made her feel guilty, because Eliza looked at me apologetically. Leo, I'm sorry. I got a little too happy last night and drank too much with my friends. It won't happen again. Were you really drinking because you were happy? I replied coolly, putting extra emphasis on those two words. A flicker of panic crossed Eliza's face, but she avoided talking about why she got drunk. Looks like you're going to keep me on a tight leash from now on. I'm scared I won't drink again. Okay? Just forgive me this once. She was still teasing me with that same confident, in control attitude, but only I noticed the fleeting bitterness at the corner of her mouth. I guess I had to be the one to say it. Eliza, let's not get married. I had practiced it in my head countless times, so the words came out effortlessly. What do you mean? Eliza rushed over and grabbed my arm. Her grip so tight only I could feel it. Say that again. My own anger started to rise, and I forcefully shook her hand off me. I raised my voice. If you don't want to get married, why are you forcing yourself? You love someone else, so why are you marrying me? Am I that easy to fool? If I hadn't asked, were you planning on lying to me forever? Eliza tried to explain frantically. Leo, what have you heard? Who told you? Who said I don't want to get married? You have no idea how much I've been looking forward to this day. I've been going crazy waiting for it. For a second, I felt like I didn't even know her anymore. If I hadn't found out, would she have really gone through with it and married me? Unable to let go of someone else while pretending to love me. I forced back the ache in my heart and asked her, is that so? Then who is Edward? I had shattered the peace she had been trying so hard to maintain. Sure enough, when I asked about him, Eliza's tone was no longer so firm. How do you know about him? I could see how important he was to her. When Eliza heard his name, her eyes held a tenderness and bitterness she herself didn't seem to notice. It looked like I was the one standing in the way of her happiness, forcing her to marry me out of duty. I had really put her in a tough spot. Leo, it's over between him and me. The person I love now is you. Please believe me. I couldn't believe that even now, Eliza still wanted me to trust her. Leo, if you're willing, we can go get married right now. I'll never see Edward again. Leo, please don't leave me. She stepped forward, trying to take my hand. I pulled away just in time. But now I'm not willing anymore. I'm not willing anymore, Eliza. If you had just told me sooner, I wouldn't have clung to you like this. Why didn't you tell me? I heard my own voice ask her. The chance I had longed for was right in front of me, but it felt strange and terrifying. Before, I wanted to marry her more than anything. She was the kindest person in the world to me, but now she was also the one who hurt me the most. Leo, I'm sorry. I didn't want to hear any more of her excuses. I didn't need them. None of it mattered anymore. I don't want to make things hard for you, and I don't want to make them hard for myself. I've already had the wedding canceled. I'll explain things to our families myself. The marriage is off. I closed the door to the room and fled like a coward. The light I had chased for so long had become a fading memory in the vast sea of people. I ran out onto the street, into the flowing crowd, and the tears I'd been holding back finally fell. I was slowly starting to realize that what I loved was the light I saw in her eyes when we first met. And she had never once said she loved me. I had never seen a trace of joy in her eyes. I told myself it was time to let go. After being lied to for so many years, the person I wanted to meet most was Edward. And the only people who knew about him were Eliza's friends. I only knew Jenny. The next day, I went to find her, hoping she could arrange a meeting between Edward and me. Jenny looked at me with an expression of pity. "Are you sure you want to see him?" I could tell her expression was one of sympathy, but I nodded anyway. "Yes, I want to see him one last time." I wanted to know what the man Eliza had protected for 8 years, the man who could make her happy, was like. I was tired of chasing Eliza for so many years. I wanted to close this chapter of my past. No one understands what it's like to be deceived by the person closest to you better than I do. With Jenny's help, I finally met Edward at a coffee shop. The name that only existed in her sleepy murmurs. He didn't seem surprised to see me. His expression was arrogant, the kind of confidence that comes from being spoiled. "What do you want? How long were you and Eliza together?" I asked him. He didn't shy away from it. 8 years. 8 years. Such a long time. That was when I was 18, the time I confessed to Eliza and she gently rejected me. "You're just a kid. What do you know about liking someone?" Thinking back now, I was such a fool. Perhaps seeing how pale I looked, Edward seemed even more pleased with himself. "What's wrong? Jealous?" He looked down on me. "What if I told you?" He stepped closer, leaning in toward my ear. "That she and I have already slept together? You'd probably die of anger, wouldn't you?" Slept together. Hearing those words, a dull ache spread through my head, and a metallic taste rose in my throat that I couldn't swallow down. I should have known. Edward looked at my expression with a hint of disdain. "Look at you, such a fragile little scholar. No wonder Eliza had to break up with me and marry you in a hurry. Edward, that's enough." Jenny's cold voice cut him off. "You and Eliza broke up a long time ago. Don't twist the facts." "Oh, Jenny, looks like you've got a thing for him too." "Huh? So much for our old friendship. Were we ever that close?" You, Edward, having lost the round with Jenny, turned his attention back to me, continuing to flaunt his history with Eliza. "If I'm not mistaken, in your entire relationship, Eliza never once told you she liked you, right?" Seeing my blank expression, he added in feigned surprise, "Don't tell me you two have never even kissed. You have no idea how passionate Eliza can be in bed." I looked at his smug face and said calmly, "Is that so? Then you're very lucky. Because frankly, I'd rather not know." I enunciated each word clearly. "Because I find it disgusting." My words made Edward's face flush with anger. He then called out smugly toward the door, "Eliza, you heard what he just said, right? And to think you were always so worried about him. A weakling like this, what's there to worry about? You couldn't even tell him about our perfectly legitimate relationship. Why? How much longer do you have to take care of him? Are you just going to throw your own life away?" "Shut up, Edward." Eliza burst through the door, stopping him from saying more. "My life is none of your business." Eliza looked at me, her eyes filled with guilt.
"Leo, I'm sorry."
At that moment, her gaze was too piercing. The words "perfectly legitimate" crushed me, making it hard to breathe. If their love was so legitimate, then what was I, the person with a marriage contract with her? She had used the cage of duty to casually dismiss my love. In the end, I felt like the third wheel who had broken up someone else's relationship. I finally summoned the courage to look at her one last time. "Eliza, you don't have to say you're sorry. You don't have to be responsible for me anymore. The engagement was just something our parents wanted when we were kids. It doesn't count. I'm letting you go so you can chase your own happiness. I'm letting you go, and I'm letting myself go too. I have to go. Goodbye, Eliza." For the last time, I left the coffee shop. A light rain was falling outside. I wanted to find a place to take shelter until the rain stopped. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my heart. The rain and wind soaked me, and my vision started to blur. I felt my limbs grow cold, as if my life was on a countdown. I saw a figure running toward me. A black trench coat was draped over my head, its unfamiliar scent overwhelming me. The next time I woke up, I was in a cold hospital bed, and Jenny was sitting next to me. "You're awake?" I was surprised. "How did I get here?" "I saw you collapse on the street when I was leaving the coffee shop this morning, so I brought you to the hospital." Jenny poured me a glass of water and handed it to me. Our fingers brushed, her skin cool to the touch, and I felt a brief moment of awkwardness. "Thanks. Thank you for bringing me here." Jenny remained silent. The atmosphere was a bit tense. I didn't know what to say, so I just smiled again. "Sorry to be a bother." "Don't mention it. I'm a doctor here. Taking care of patients is my job." I never would have guessed Jenny was a doctor. No wonder I had always smelled the faint scent of disinfectant on her the first time we met. Because I'd spent so much time in hospitals as a child, my sense of smell was quite sensitive. Jenny took the water glass from my hand and gently took my wrist. I instinctively tried to pull away, but she stopped me. "Don't move." Her tone was serious. "You're not in good health right now." Seeing her serious expression, I couldn't help but feel nervous. What's wrong? I used to have issues with social anxiety and depression, but I had gotten much better after treatment. Besides not being able to handle crowded places, I was mostly fine. I thought I didn't have any other problems. "Leo," Jenny said my name, her tone grave. "Did no one ever tell you that you have a heart condition?" "How could that be?" I never would have imagined I had a heart condition. No one had ever told me in all these years. A wave of desolation washed over me. No wonder Eliza agreed when I said we should get married. Was she worried I was going to die? Edward was right. I really was a weakling. I had dragged Eliza down and stood in the way of her happiness. I had felt some discomfort in my chest before and had even gone to the hospital for it. But I always went with Eliza, and the doctor would just tell me to get more rest, that it was nothing serious. It seems Eliza had him hide it from me. "Is it serious, Dr. Lynn?" When I asked her, my tone was tinged with an odd sense of relief. After all these years, I felt like I had gotten used to this body. Maybe I wasn't afraid of dying. I was just afraid of not even having a choice in my own death. "Don't be scared," Jenny said softly. "I'll find a way to treat you. It's still manageable right now, so don't worry." "Thank you," I said gratefully. I knew she was just trying to comfort me. I knew my own body, and I knew it was probably getting worse. Just a moment ago, my vision had blurred for a second when I looked at her, and a sharp pain had shot through my head. But I couldn't let it show. I didn't want to be treated like a patient anymore. In my 22 years of life, I had spent 18 of them in a hospital, ever since I could remember. For 18 years, I had been a burden to others without even realizing it. "Leo, are you hungry? Do you want to get something to eat?" I was lost in my own thoughts until Jenny's voice pulled me back. "I'm not hungry, Dr. Lynn. Thank you. I'd like to be discharged now." I got out of bed to go handle the paperwork, but my head suddenly spun, and I nearly fell. Jenny suddenly said, "I'm hungry." Before I could react, Jenny was already supporting me, her tone leaving no room for argument. "Sorry, but I have to insist." I instinctively rested my arm on her shoulder. "Jenny, let me go." We walked in silence as she helped me out of the hospital. I felt like a patient on display, and it was a bit embarrassing. Jenny whispered comfortingly, "You haven't eaten, so your blood sugar is low. I'll take you home after we get some food." Are all doctors this attentive? After eating with Jenny, it was already getting dark. She walked me to my front door and took out her phone, telling me to add her on Messenger. I didn't want to. I was trying to cut off everything related to Eliza, including her friends. I didn't want to get involved with them anymore. But Jenny's words made it impossible for me to refuse. She said, "Leo, you have to find your own way forward. Some people can walk with you for a while, but only you can be with yourself for a lifetime. But I don't have a lifetime.
I'm sick.
I finally told her, "Jenny, I don't have much time left. A lifetime is too long." So please, don't waste your time on me. Shut up. Leo, listen to me. Jenny pulled me into her arms, and my head rested on her shoulder. I could hear the deep rumble of her voice from her chest, as if she could read my mind. You have never been a burden to anyone. Trust me, you're gonna get better. I'm your doctor. I will help you. In that moment, the tears came like a flood, as if I was trying to cry out all the grievances of the past years to this person I barely knew. I don't know how long I cried. I just remember the streetlights flickering on and off, and her saying, "Let's work on this together." Okay. Leo? I didn't answer. Believing in someone was becoming harder and harder for me. People you see every day can change. What about someone you've just met? I got home late. Standing in the yard, I heard a heated argument coming from inside the house. It was Eliza. And Edward. What was he doing here? A sense of foreboding washed over me. I remembered what Jenny had said. Leo, Edward is not a simple person. I don't know how long your sister has known him, but it certainly hasn't been 8 years like he claims. Some things might not be as simple as they seem. Edward, get out of my house right now. I don't want Leo to see you here. What's wrong? Scared? Afraid he'll leave you? Edward's voice was aggressive. I told him that you and I have slept together. Do you really think he'll stay with you after that? Get out. The sound of something smashing came from inside. It was Eliza throwing things. You know exactly how we ended up together. If you hadn't drugged me, how could I have ever hurt Leo? I couldn't believe this was the truth, that Edward would do something like that to her. Without thinking, I threw the door open, stormed into the room, walked right up to Edward, and slapped him across the face. What gives you the right to treat her like that? Eliza was shocked by my sudden appearance. She grabbed me and pushed me toward the bedroom. Leo, go inside. Don't get worked up over someone who doesn't matter. I'll explain everything to you later. I knew she was afraid I'd have a heart attack, that she didn't want me to get upset, but this wasn't that simple. I had to get to the bottom of it today. What was the truth that she had hidden from me for 8 years? The truth that made Edward so arrogant. I grabbed her arm. Let me go. I have something to ask him. I needed to know if the truth was something I could even handle. TSK, what a touching sibling bond. Edward clapped his hands, looking crazed. Leo, you're defending her like this. But do you even know what kind of person she is? Don't be a fool, Edward warned me. You and I are nothing but stand-ins for my sister, Ava. Hearing that, I thought it was absurd. Aren't you Edward? But I was wrong. Edward revealed a past I had completely forgotten. I am Edward, but my sister and I have different names. Do you know how she died? She died saving Eliza. My sister was the one she could never forget. Wasn't she, Eliza? Edward asked her. I saw the pain in her eyes and felt my own heart ache so much I could barely breathe. I remembered a night many years ago. It was raining heavily, and Eliza didn't come home all night. The family sent out search parties, and they found her unconscious by the river. After she woke up, the sister who used to tell me everything started keeping secrets. She didn't seem happy anymore. I never knew she had been shouldering so much, that she had gone through such dangerous things. Edward said Eliza would always owe his sister a life. I finally understood. Her tolerance for Edward all came from the debt she felt toward his sister. Even after being drugged, she could still keep it a secret from me for 8 years. After Edward left, I looked at Eliza, who stood dejectedly in the living room. I didn't know what to say. Any words would have felt empty and weak at that moment. I silently walked up and hugged her.
I'm sorry, Eliza.
Eliza hugged me back. Leo, I didn't want you to know about this. Eliza told me that at a dinner party once, she saw someone who looked exactly like the deceased Ava. Overwhelmed by guilt and the joy of seeing someone she thought was dead, she let her guard down and was drugged. When she woke up, the deed was done, and all she saw was a disheveled Edward lying beside her. She was afraid that if I knew the truth, I wouldn't be able to handle it, that it would affect my heart. So she had been in secret contact with Edward ever since. Knowing all this, it would be a lie to say I wasn't hurt. The deception was real, and the concealment was real. I didn't know how to face her anymore. Eliza, what happened? I forgive you. But from now on, Let's just be brother and sister. I knew that the living could never compete with the dead. That person's place in her heart would always be more important. I couldn't accept the deception, and I couldn't trust her again. And she had also hidden my heart condition from me. I couldn't imagine if I were to be with her in the future and something similar happened, would I still have no right to know? I should have the right to make my own choices in my own life. Okay, Eliza seemed to have known what my answer would be. I'm truly sorry. Her tears fell onto my neck, silent but suffocating. Eliza, thank you for taking care of me all these years. I've been a burden to you. Because of me, you lost your freedom. From now on, I hope you can be happier. Leo, I never thought of you as a burden. I told her, I'm going home tomorrow to stay with my parents in the country. After all, I didn't have much time left. I wanted to spend it with them just talking. Leo, can't you stay? I could feel Eliza's body tremble slightly. This is your home too. I could only manage a small smile. I'll come back to visit in the future. Don't go. I'm begging you. I was wrong. Eliza's voice was hoarse. She wanted me to stay, but I couldn't. I didn't know how to face everything. I couldn't trust anyone anymore. I'm sorry. In the end, I gently pushed her away and went upstairs to my room. The older you get, the more you understand that duty is not love. I opened my phone and saw several messages from Jenny. Did you get home safe, Leo? Don't forget to come in for a follow-up tomorrow. 10 in the morning. I'll be waiting. I hesitated for a long time but ultimately didn't reply. These past few days, the periods of blurred vision had been getting longer. I didn't think I could hold on for much longer. Treatment would only buy me a little more time. I shut off my phone, not wanting to see anything. The next day, I woke up early to pack my bags. As I got out of bed, I stumbled and fell to the floor. Everything went dark. Couldn't see. Leo, what's wrong? I heard Eliza call my name, but I didn't know which direction it was coming from. I didn't want her to find out I couldn't see. I didn't want to be a burden to anyone ever again. I'm fine. I tried to act calm. Eliza, can you call a car for me? I want to go home. Eliza helped me to my feet. Leo, just this one last time, let me drive you home. Okay? You don't need a car. I couldn't argue with her, so I just nodded. Eliza went out to pack my things. I sat on the bed, trying hard to open my eyes and see clearly. I tried several times, but nothing worked. This had never happened before. Usually, my vision would return after a few minutes, but it seemed like it wouldn't this time. Another excruciating pain shot through my head, and my mind became a chaotic mess. It felt like there was a constant, noisy voice calling my name. I tried, but I couldn't wake up. I passed out. I felt like I was in a very long dream. Scenes from my childhood appeared. Due to certain experiences, I had developed social anxiety and depression. One day, my mother brought home a little girl. She said her name was Eliza, and she was my sister. My mother said that now I had a companion. At first, I didn't like her because she was older than me. I liked being alone, but she was incredibly kind to me. She wasn't loud and boisterous like other girls. They would snatch my toys and push me down on the grass. Sometimes they would even make fun of me. But Eliza was different. She would buy me toys and give me all of her things. She would go online to research what little boys liked, like model kits. Then she would buy them all for me. It was a bit childish, but it made me very happy. I didn't like to talk, but she would always try to make me laugh. At the time, I thought she was so noisy that she talked way too much. But her eyes were filled with such sincerity that I couldn't help but want to respond to her. Every time she teased me, I couldn't resist talking back. It turned out that having a sister was the most wonderful thing in the world. The scene shifted to that rainy night, and everything changed. My already mature sister became quiet and reserved. Her thoughts were no longer visible on her face. I found it harder and harder to understand her. She was still incredibly good to me, but this kindness felt different, unfamiliar, warm, yet sometimes it filled me with a baseless fear. It was like knowing that someone you thought would never leave you would one day be gone. And so you start waiting for that day to arrive. Afraid but helpless. On my 18th birthday, I confessed my feelings to her and was gently rejected. I began to understand that baseless fear, it was the fear of not being able to keep her. I gradually realized that she had never belonged to me. Until the day before the wedding, when I went to the bar to pick her up, I heard her say, "Love? What's love got to do with it? I'm just looking after a kid brother. He wants to get married, so we'll get married." My heart finally died, and I told myself to let go. All those old obsessions vanished with it. That's why I decided to go back to the countryside to be with my parents. But I couldn't see. I didn't want Eliza to find out, but the pain in my body wasn't something I could control. I passed out. I vaguely remember Eliza frantically driving, the roar of the car's engine deafening. Then came the violent sound of a collision. Time seemed to stop in that moment. The smell of blood filled the car. I couldn't tell if it was my blood or hers that wet my fingers. I couldn't move. Tears streamed down my face, pooling in my ears. I couldn't wake up. It seemed like there were many voices outside calling for me. But I was trapped in this dream and didn't want to wake up. I heard a mechanical sound in my ear, like a clock counting down my life. I fell completely unconscious. I don't know how much time passed, but I heard someone call my name. "Leo, wake up. I have to go now." It was Eliza's voice. She was calling me. In a daze, I saw her figure, faint and dark. A baseless fear made me want to grab her. "Don't go, Eliza." But I couldn't catch her. The tears flowed uncontrollably. "Leo, don't cry. I'll always be with you." Her voice grew more and more distant, so far away that no matter how much I cried out, I couldn't keep her. I woke up struggling. She wasn't in the hospital room, only Jenny. "Leo, you're awake? Are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere?" "Jenny, where's Eliza?" I scrambled out of bed and grabbed her shirt. "Where's my sister? Where did she go? Wasn't she the one who brought me to the hospital?" "She was bringing you to the hospital when the car malfunctioned." And Jenny didn't answer, changing the subject instead. "Leo, you can't get worked up right now. Lie down first. I'll have a doctor check on you again." "Get away from me." My body, a tearing sensation from a wound, made me instinctively look down at myself. A long scar ran across my chest. The heart inside was now beating, alive. "Eliza, how could you be so foolish? Didn't I forgive you? Why did you do this? Did you want me to be indebted to you for the rest of my life?" "I have to see her, Jenny. Please, take me to see her. I'm begging you." "Okay, don't cry. I'll take you." The wind scattered the cold gravel. I stood in the desolate cemetery, facing the irreversible. It turned out I had been unconscious for a long time. Everything had changed. My whole life, it seems, has been spent owing others. "Leo, don't be too sad. If Eliza were here, she wouldn't want to see you like this. You're the person she died to protect, so you have to live well. That's the only way to honor her. Live well." Those words are too heavy. Living on with Eliza's life, how long can I last? The day I was discharged, Jenny came to see me off. She handed me a letter. "Leo, your sister asked me to give this to you. If you ever need anything in the future, you can come find me." I took the letter from her hand, looking at the expression in her eyes, not knowing how to respond. That look, I've had it before. "Thank you, Dr. Lin. But now I think I'll just be alone. How far I'll go in this life? I'm not sure. I don't want to hold anyone else back." I boarded a plane to Paris and opened the letter on the flight. Eliza had said she wanted to take me to Paris to see the sights. She once said her dream was to become a painter, to paint whatever she liked. But now it's just me. In Paris, I became a painter. I paint the pictures she loved, and I sign them all Eliza Hale. The letter said, "Leo, if there is a next life, I want to meet you purely and cleanly, and paint only for you. Her dream, I have fulfilled it for her. But for us, there is no next life." Epilogue, Eliza's story, the day of the crash. The day I was going to take Leo home, his condition worsened. He wanted to go home, but I didn't want him to. I knew his vision would sometimes fail, and he hid it so well, not wanting me to find out. I could only pretend not to know. He said he had been a burden to me for so long, but he didn't know I loved being his burden. It was the driving force behind everything I did. I never told him about his condition because I didn't want him to worry. When I used to take him for checkups, I found out he had a heart condition. I worked tirelessly to find a suitable donor for him. The doctor said the patient had a right to know his condition. I asked him how long Leo had left. He said he would be fine into his 20s. I couldn't accept that. The boy I had protected so fiercely shouldn't have to suffer like this. He was only 18 then. He was just starting to emerge from the shadows of his past, becoming less withdrawn, his depression lifting. I was the person he trusted and relied on most. I couldn't bring myself to tell him that cruel truth. I had thought that, if possible, I would give him my heart. After getting tested, I found out we were a match. If he knew, he would never agree to it. He might even try to run away from me. I didn't dare tell him. While I searched for a suitable donor, the thought of giving him my own heart was always in the back of my mind. On his 18th birthday, I rejected his confession. I teased him, "You're just a kid. What do you know about liking someone? Maybe someday you won't be into my type anymore." Seeing the disappointment in his eyes, I had to fight the urge to go and hug him. If I couldn't be with him for long, it was better not to give him any hope from the start. I was afraid that when he reached his 20s, I still wouldn't have found a suitable heart for him. What would he do all alone after I was gone? So I had Jenny call him, asked him to pick me up, and deliberately said those harsh things, just wanting him to give up on me. But when he really did give up on me, I started to regret it. I had also thought about just throwing caution to the wind, living in the moment, and cherishing the time we had together. But then I met Edward at that dinner party. He had the same face as Ava. My childhood friend, not dead after all, had reappeared before me. In my relief, I let my guard down. Edward drugged me. I knew then that I was no longer worthy of Leo. Edward always hated me because of what happened to his sister. When we were kids, she drowned while saving me. It was a debt I could never repay. I didn't press charges against him, but he found out about Leo. He said he would tell Leo what happened between us, and I was terrified. Leo had a heart condition. I was so worried something would happen to him. So I was entangled with Edward for 8 years. He would make unreasonable demands. Over time, when I finally came to my senses, it seemed that Leo and I had reached a point of no return. I overlooked his strength, and I forgot his stubbornness. It wasn't until he said we weren't getting married that I realized what I had lost. I should have been more selfish. Maybe then the ending would have been different. My biggest regret is not telling him sooner. He deserved the right to choose his own path in life. On the way to the hospital, the car malfunctioned and collided with another vehicle. I threw myself over the unconscious Leo to protect him. Blood flowed down my arm, onto my fingers holding him, and onto his neck. He must have smelled the blood, because he started crying in his sleep, tears seeping from the corners of his eyes. I tried to wipe his tears with my blood-stained fingers, but I couldn't get them clean. I couldn't wipe them away. I wanted to tell him not to cry, but I had no strength left. Felt like I was saying goodbye to him forever. When we were both taken to the hospital, I was still somewhat conscious. Jenny performed the surgery. I knew I wasn't going to make it. I had written a will long ago, stating that if anything happened to me, my heart would go to Leo. Jenny knew about this too. I asked her to give Leo the letter I had written long ago. I hoped that in the next life, I could meet him purely and cleanly. No deception, no secrets, no hurt. Whatever our roles, I would gladly accept. I wanted to tell him that I never loved Ava. From the very beginning, it was only him. He was never a substitute for anyone. I loved him simply because he was Leo. I loved him more than life itself. He was never my burden. He was my weakness.